Hello YouTube, I am back and I'm wearing a cardigan today. Today I'm going to be reviewing George R. R. Martin's A Game of Thrones. There you go. It's the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. So far it is supposed to have, supposed to have 7 books in total. 4 have been released, the 5th one is on the way. Just before I get into this book review, I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the series. It's basically, that will be getting into the book review. So, just basic, just fun facts about the series, I guess. I really don't know what to call them. This book, A Game of Thrones, was released in '96. The next book, '98. The next book, 2000. Fourth book, so they had 3 books, right? And then the 4th one was supposed to be, he's just kind of supposed to skip 5 years, and it is supposed to end in 4 books. But for some reason, he just decided, like, he worked on the last book for a year, and then he just sort of decided, you know what, I think I should write about those 5 years. And so he scrapped a year's worth of work. This is about 2001 when this happens. And then he decides, you know what, I'm going to make it go even bigger. And since 5 years are going to elapse in this time, I'm only going to write about half the characters in this book. And so Feast for Crows, the most recently released novel in '05, it's about half the characters. And then the upcoming book, A Dance with Dragons, is about the other half of the characters. So it's a bit confusing. Um, in October of last year, 2010, he said, or George R. R. Martin's publisher said, or editor, someone along those lines, said that he is 5 chapters from completing the manuscript. So he should probably be done by now, considering it's January, end of January 2011. Maybe not, who knows. The chapters really aren't that long. They're 10 pages, 10 to 20. 20 is very long for this book. Anyway, I'm predicting that it will come out in about a year and a half, just because everything has been way off schedule since the past 2 books. At this rate, he's going to be finished with the book in like 2020. That's kind of not good, but or the series anyway. Anyway, on to the book review. I'm gonna quit griping. Game of Thrones, excellent book. They're basically, well, in the north, there's the Starks. They're a royal family. On the throne, King Robert Baratheon, Baratheon. I'm gonna say Baratheon because it's easier to say. Then there are the Lannisters. Well, in the north it's just the Starks. Then there's the Lannisters in the south. Baratheon, he's the king. The Lannisters are kind of the next royal family. Well, they're another royal family. The queen was born a Lannister. I know, this is really confusing. It's just like a giant CF of, sorry for that. It's just a giant mass of characters and plot lines. It's really crazy. But if you have the patience, you have to have the patience. It is a very, very, very good book. I would say it's up there with Harry Potter. I am not even kidding. But you have to have the patience. For this version, I don't know why I'm saying for this version, find one that has actual 2 pages together. Why am I flipping to the beginning of chapters? See, that's how much text is on 1 page. Harry Potter is about half that much text. So basically one of these pages, that's about a page and a half. 1 page in this book, I don't know, I'm hitting it on the desk when it's not on the camera. 1 page from here is about 1.5 to 1.75 pages in Harry Potter. Because it's single spaced, the pages are bigger and the text is smaller. Kind of frustrating at first. After about halfway through the book, you really don't notice it and you get used to it. This book is for just literary content. Pertaining to the story, it is 671 pages. It takes about 200 pages to really get into the story. That's because there are literally 50 characters you have to know in this book, and he has to set up the plot for everything that is going. He has to set the ball in motion. And I feel that if Mr. Martin had, just kind of, started off with whatever and just 1 character and said, okay, this is what's happening, you would have been lost and you would have hated the book. Honestly, I recommend, especially at the start, since there's so many characters and a few kind of sound alike, I would really recommend if you just sort of sat while you're reading with a notebook and a pen or pencil, writing utensil, and you just write down the character names, who they are, what house they belong to, all that good stuff, what they do. That way you'll be less confused. I did not do that. I didn't have too many problems after about 150 pages. Basically, when everything started getting going at around 170 to 200 pages, I really began to make clear distinctions between the characters and everything they're all about. That being said, it really didn't decrease from the enjoyment of the book. It just made things a little confusing at first. However, the 200 pages that start everything in motion are actually good. I enjoyed a chapter about walking. I read 12 pages of walking, and somehow it was brilliant. Mr. Martin, I commend you. That's how good of a writer George R.R. Martin is. The 5th book is about to be released. This is already hailed as a modern fantasy classic. That's how good this is. So I strongly urge you to, if you like high fantasy, to go out and buy it. Why do I keep saying It's so it's pissing me off. Sorry, a little outburst there. One thing though, this is for mature audiences. There is violence, there is graphic depictions of sex. If you are a parent and you don't want your 12-year-old reading that, obviously don't let them read this book, especially if you haven't given them the talk yet. It is very mature, there is some language. There are a couple F-bombs that are dropped, they're really not that common. There are a few things that are kind of disturbing, oh gosh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop getting onto myself. There's a 14-year-old who gets married in this book. She gets married when she's 13, she gets pregnant at 14. And it's just kind of how it was at the times, This is very accurate for the time period. There's really no, it's not like it says 719 AD, but it's very accurate. People aren't, when people lose battles, women get raped and stuff, and it doesn't really describe, it kind of does describe it, I'm not gonna lie. This is a very mature book for mature audiences, but I feel that if George R.R. Martin had not included this, it really would have decreased the scope of this book. It wouldn't have been as serious, the plot wouldn't be so realistic, it wouldn't hit so close to home. One thing I really enjoy about this book is the characters. There's no good or evil. Harry Potter, he's ultimate good, Voldemort's ultimate bad. Percy Jackson, Percy and the Olympians ultimate good, Kronos ultimate bad. In this book, everyone's gray. There's really no distinction. People act on their own self-interest. Some people do things that we would consider good, a Gryffindor, like quality, and it really doesn't benefit them that much, and so they can learn from it. Main characters die in this book. Another main character is maimed, and you really don't see it coming. This really adds like I said, this really adds to the scope of the book. It really helps you realize that everyone's in peril. Harry Potter, you get that sense of, oh, Harry's in trouble, but he's going to pull through. In this book, you're not sure, because there are times when you think, oh, this is going to happen, and then someone gets killed. So, but it is definitely a very good book. I'm 17, I would say any 16-year-old who goes to public school isn't totally sheltered by their parents, this is going to be nothing new to them. When you're that age, you can drive, you're going to be buying your own books at that point anyway, probably. If your kid's in high school, or if your child, if they're late middle school, early high school, and they're mature, you've talked to them, you sat them down and talked to them about, sex and all that stuff, violence. Basically, if they can watch rated R movies, they'll be fine with this. PG-13, you might want to thumb through it a bit. It's really your judgment on that, parents out there. I know that most of my subscribers are definitely around my age, late teens, mid-teens, early 20s maybe, but you know, there are many worse things out there, and like I said, I hear worse things in the hallway just walking through school every day, so, you know, it's really just, it's not that big of a deal. However, I don't hear about rape in the hallway every day, I will give it that, so, but, you know, it is definitely conducive to the time period and what happened when, you know, cities were pillaged. But I'm just going to go ahead and give this a rating. If Harry Potter's a 10, oh, this is really tough. It's like a, oh, I don't know, I really can't rate this book. Kind of have to I have to read more of the series, but just this book alone, it's like a 9 point, this is a 9.9. I'm not freaking kidding. It's that good. It's very long, it's told from the perspective of multiple characters, which is really cool. Sorry this review is so long, but this is because it's a really in-depth book, and I like to go in-depth in my reviews. But each character, I'm going to hurry up, sorry. You know, you'll know one thing happens from one perspective of a character, it might go back, and you'll know the perspective of the other character. And you're always kind of guessing about what's really going on with the plot. It's just, this is literature at its finest. And I'm not freaking kidding. Not kidding. It is that good. As much as I love Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling, she probably couldn't have Harry, Ron, and Hermione walk for 12 pages and just kind of do things, you know. She couldn't describe the surroundings. She's a great writer, I'll give her that, but I seriously doubt she could have Harry, Ron, and Hermione walk for 12 pages and that be entertaining. You know, when they do walk, you know, there's backstory and things like this. This is just what's going on right now. You know, there really aren't any flashbacks. There's some, you know, times when they might go back to that and go, oh, that's what happened, or you know, or oh, this, you know, this character did this. Things are coming together. I understand now. There's kind of epiphanies, but there's really never there's backstory, but there's really never any flashbacks or anything. This is all just kind of what's going on in the now, in the present. And I respect Mr. Martin for that, because let's take it, or let's just face it. It takes balls to write a book in this scope. Okay? I'm just gonna flip to the back real quickly. There's the back. Okay. House Baratheon. Everything below this line is characters, and it continues on to the next page. And you kind of have to know them. But House Stark, below the first paragraph, characters all the way down. And you know, House Lannister, same thing. You know, and there's House Arryn, House Tully, House Tyrell, House Greyjoy, not quite as many characters, House Martell, House Targaryen, and these aren't, they're just really two characters, and you know, and there's even the Night Watch, so that's like 10 to 12 mini factions, or little, you know, sort of little factions that you have to know the characters for. Okay, there are literally like 200 to 500 characters in there's probably like 250 characters in this book, and you have to at least sort of know them. Now you don't have to know every aspect about them, but that's how freaking huge this book is in scope, and George R.R. Martin pulls it off flawlessly. Okay, flawlessly. That's how good this book is. I had so much fun reading it. It takes forever to read though. You kind of have to set a pace for yourself, because I went on a road trip, and I'm on the second one. Not a road trip, but I went on a trip. I haven't really read it in like 5 days, and I really have no reason to read it, or no want to. You know, it's just going to have to be something that I have to pick up. So if you're going to read this book, you're kind of going to have to force yourself to be on a schedule, you know. You're going to read like at least 75 pages a day, which is like 150 normal pages, but it's definitely worth it if you like to read a lot like I do. You're probably watching this if you like to read as much as I do, if not more, maybe a little less, who knows. In the ballpark, you're gonna love this book. So as long as you're mature, you know, grotesque, or you know, gruesomeness doesn't really offend you that much, or you are mature enough to handle it, you're gonna love this book. So I'm getting to the cutoff, so I'm just gonna log off. Bye.